Hi, so we are going to look at perimeter and circumference today. If you don't already have it out, I would highly recommend that you get your formula chart out. Anytime that you are working with any kind of formula, whether it's perimeter, circumference, area, volume, surface area, I would always have that formula chart out. And I would also say that even if you think you know what the formula is to always double check it. One of the biggest mistakes is that students make is that they use the wrong formula. They do the math correct, they do all the computations correct, but the formula is wrong. And that's just a really easy mistake to correct because you have your formulas right there. So I would grab that real quick. So let's first just talk about perimeter. Well, perimeter is the distance around a two-dimensional figure or a two-dimensional shape. We can find perimeter by adding up all the sides of the shape. So if you look below, we have a triangle here, 3 sides. We add up those 3 sides, 4 plus 8 plus 11 equals 23 centimeters. And that's an easy way to find perimeter of a shape is just add up all the sides. And if that's what you do, that's perfect. That's a perfectly great way to find perimeter. There are some certain shapes that you don't have to do it that way. You can use a formula. Sometimes I think the formula is quicker, sometimes I don't. So I would just use your gut feeling and what you're more comfortable with. But let's just kind of go through them real quick. So if it's a square, you can multiply the length of one side times 4. That will give you the perimeter because it has 4 sides. For a rectangle, you can multiply the length times 2, the width times 2, and then add that together. For a parallelogram, that would be the same thing. You would multiply the base and the other 2 sides together, and then you can add them. For a triangle, that just says to add ABC like we did before. Same thing with a trapezoid, just add those 2 sides together. And then this is a good one. For any regular shape, meaning that all the sides are the same, you can just multiply the number of sides times the length of one side, just like a square. Okay, and that works for any regular shape. So those are just some formulas that you guys can keep in the back of your mind, or just remember that you can also add them. Notice the circle was not on there. And the reason why is a circle is a different kind of figure. It's not a polygon because it's rounded, and so the adding up of the sides does not work because technically a circle does not have sides. So what the perimeter of a circle is called is it's called the circumference. So circumference is just the perimeter of a circle. And in order to know how to do this, let's talk about a few things here. So we talked about circumference, how it's the distance around a circle. The diameter is this whole pink line here. It basically cuts through the center of the circle and goes to each side. In essence, it cuts your circle in half. The radius is going to be half of your diameter. What it means is it starts in the center of your circle and then it goes to the outside edge. So it's half of your diameter. So you can look at it this way, that your radius is half of your diameter, or you could say my diameter is 2 times my radius. However you want to look at those are both correct. All right. And that's what that's explaining here. And then the last thing that we need to talk about real quickly is pi. Pi is that symbol. Pi is essentially 3.14 unless it tells you otherwise. Sometimes it might tell you to use 22/7 for pi. That's also a form of pi. They could, if they're really nice, tell you just to use 3 for pi. So just read your directions. If your directions are not given, if there's nothing about it, we always use 3.14 for pi. So let's talk about how to find circle. And we're going to look at this example here. It says to find the circumference of a circle whose radius is 21 inches. And notice it says to use 22/7 for pi. So to find circumference, if you look at your formula chart, you'll see that there are 2 formulas. One of them is 2 times pi times r. The other is pi times diameter. Guys, these formulas are identical. Remember that diameter is 2 times your radius. So here's how I look at it. If they give you the diameter, I use this formula. If they give us our radius, I use this formula. And that's all you can think about. All right, so in this case, we have our radius, so I'm going to use this formula. So I'm going to start by just writing the formula, 2 pi r. Now let's fill in what we know. 2 stays the same, pi is 22/7, and my radius is 21. Well, when I multiply, I can actually simplify the 7 and the 21. And that's why they told you to use 22 over 7. I know a lot of you guys look at that and think, oh gosh, I don't want to use a fraction. Can't I just use 3.14? It is so much easier. If you can simplify and get rid of that 7, you're only multiplying whole numbers and you don't have to mess with any decimals. So don't freak out because there's a fraction. In fact, it's a good thing sometimes. So we're going to actually simplify. My 7 is now gone. My 21 is now a 3. So now really what I'm multiplying together is 2 times 22 times 3. Well, 2 times 22 is 44, and 44 times 3 is 132. So our circumference of the circle is about 132 inches. All right, for this last thing, all I want to do is just to quickly find our perimeter for each of these. Again, we can just add up all of our sides. We can use our formulas, whatever you prefer. So here, I've got 2 times 8 plus 3. Well, 8 plus 3 is 11. 2 times 11 is 22. So, and it tells me it's centimeters, so 22 centimeters. For this one, the easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and add them all together. Well, 10 plus 9 is 19. 19 plus 3, is again 22 centimeters. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and just add these up together. So I'm going to add 30 plus 56 plus 18 plus 16. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to do, let's do 30 plus 56. That would be 86. And I'm going to add that with, let's see here, that would be 1434. Yep. And now we can just add that. That would be 10, 11, 12. So 120 centimeters. And 2 more. We've got a circle here. I've got my radius, so I'm going to use C equals 2 pi r. It doesn't tell me what to use for pi, so I'm going to use 3.14. My radius is 3. Remember, guys, that multiplying is commutative, meaning that we can multiply anything in any order. I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times 3, which is 6. That way I'm only having to multiply by a decimal one time. So we're going to multiply 3.14 times 6, so 24, 6, 7, 8, and 18. Move your decimal point over, so 18 and 84 hundredths centimeters. And the last one, we're going to do 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4. That's 10. 10, that would be 20 centimeters. So there you've got circumference and perimeter together. Use your formula chart. Watch your units, especially if there's decimals involved, and just keep track of your computation.